Hello and welcome to the Brick Cave Podcast. My name is Bob Nelson. The Brick Cave Podcast is brought to you by the BC Book Club, Brick Cave Media's community portal for readers that love Brick Cave books and authors. You can join today and be a part of the Brick Cave story at bcbookclub.com. If this is your first time listening to the podcast, I'd like to invite you to check out all of our archived or back issues, if you will. You can actually go to Brick Cave Podcast. That takes you to the homepage on our main site, which is Brick Cave Media. You can actually scroll through and listen to any of the old podcasts that you want. Any old podcast. So what do we got going on this week? It is a huge week in Brick Cave world. I don't know if you guys had the chance to listen to Sharon and Bruce's most recent podcast, which was kind of fantastic. They had a very animated discussion about Dune and the new movie that's being made, and who's a Dune fan and kind of who's less of a Dune fan. But I'll let you go listen to that episode to see if you can find out what that was. As I said, there's so much going on, so let me just jump right into it. Real quick, I know it's been a few weeks, but we did want to do a shout out thank you to all of the people that contributed to the Brick Cave Kickstarter. That was successful. We were able to get that funded. We are in the process of getting everything pulled together for our rewards. So September is going to be like Christmas in September for our backers. So if you were a backer of that and you're listening to this podcast, thank you again for being a part of that. If you are not a backer, but you were like, I should have been a backer, you know, you can still be a part of the Brick Cave story. And I'll talk more about that in a little bit. But you're not being left out. Let me just tell you that. So news, what's going on out there in the news of Brick Cave? Well, for most important, we did a lot in July, and I don't know that I've had the chance to really talk about a lot of what we were able to do. We actually released a new sort of overall process for writers to submit their manuscripts to Brick Cave. And so now we're accepting manuscripts year-round. For those of you that follow us know in the past we've kind of had a 3-month window when you could send us manuscripts. And so if you were in that window, you were great. If you're out of that window, you had to wait till the next year. So we figured out how to change that. And so now you can submit it anytime through the year. You can do it electronically. So we're always looking for submissions. We review them once every quarter. So at the end of the quarter, we pull together all the submissions that we've gotten. We kind of go through them as a group. And anybody that we want to see more from, we go ahead and ask them for the full manuscript. So you can read the guidelines at brickcavemedia.com. And then under About, submitting to Brick Cave, I believe is the link. You'll find it. It's pretty good. Easy to find. I actually do want to talk for a minute about the Brick Cave Book Club, which is really cool. I want to say thank you to everybody that has joined the Brick Cave Book Club. We just passed 50 participants in the last couple weeks. You can join. There's 3 levels. The first level is free, so you can actually just go create yourself a username and password, submit a form to us. We'll do that. And then you can kind of explore. You get to post in the forums. You get to listen to some of the audio content. You get some access to like all of our photo archives from all of our past events. When we used to do events, remember those? In the old days when we used to do events. Yeah. Anyway, so you can get access to all of that content that you would not have access to if you didn't have a login. And there's also 2 other levels. So the free level we call the Ruby level, Ruby Red. That's the Ruby Dragon level. And then if you really kind of want to like up your game a little bit, we have an audio focused level. That's $5 a month. We call that the Sapphire level. Sapphire. It's blue. Get it? I knew you did. Anyway, so that gives you some access to a lot of the audio tools. So I don't know if you know, when you listen to the Brick Cave podcast, especially for our group podcast, so Sharon and Bruce and Bill and Patrick, there's actually more to those audio sessions than what we release in the public broadcast. And we put those as exclusives for Sapphire members so that they can log in and listen to that extra content. It's usually about 10-15 minutes of audio that we just kind of pluck from the main recording session, and there's usually some really fun in it. I think Sharon and Bruce end up talking about some medical stuff, and Bill and Patrick, I don't even remember what they talk about because they go to town. But it's always fun to kind of get that extra little behind the scenes stuff. So you can do that. That's $5. That's Sapphire. If you really want to be a part of the Brick Cave story, you're going to join at the Diamond Dragon level. That's $10 a month. And that gives you access to everything at the Sapphire level. So you get all that audio. And then you get access to all the videos. So we are just starting to kind of, get back into some of that multimedia production. Obviously, we've been hot and heavy on the podcast now since the beginning of the year, pretty much. But we're just starting to, get our eyeballs back into some of the video stuff. And I think you're going to see a lot come from us in the next, 18, 24 months. And I'll talk about a little bit about that. Not a lot, but I'll talk a little bit about that later. Part of your access as a Sapphire or Diamond member is something that we call the Brick Cave Fictioneers. And what it is exclusive microfiction content for Sapphire or Diamond level members. So you guys get, once a month, we push out a piece of microfiction that's been submitted by a member. This is a paying market, by the way. So if you're looking to get, to make some money, you can do that. But anyway, so we push out a piece of microfiction that's only for those subscribers, and then they can talk about it in the forums and, kind of decide if they like it or if they don't like it or, what the deal is. But then each month, a new piece comes out. So it's always new content for subscribers to engage with on the site. So we're super excited about it. It's called the Brick Cave Fictioneers. You can read about it at either bcbookclub.com or brickcavemedia.com. You can actually go ahead and you don't actually have to be a member. Part of what you get, obviously we give you some cash, but you do also get subscriptions so that you can get into the site and read other people's stuff. So that's called the Brick Cave Fictioneers. Really a lot of fun. We're excited about it. I want to kind of touch on something that just literally just came out in the last 10 days. So part of the Dial It to 11 Kickstarter, one of the benefits or rewards, if you will, that we offered to the backers was hardbound editions for those first 3 sort of fantasy lead series titles that we have. So, Platinum Magic by Bruce Davis, Healer's Legacy by Sharon Skinner, and Last Incarnation by J.A. Giunta. We had offered, as part of the rewards, the ability to get hardbound editions of those 3 books. And we did that for a couple of reasons. One is because we really need to get hardbound editions of a lot of our books available to people. But also because hardbounds are cool, right? I mean, it's that whole, hey, it's on my shelf, especially if it's signed. It's like a family heirloom type book, right? So we really wanted to get that done, and we did. So the first book, which is Platinum Magic, actually you can go online and pre-order it now. It'll be available on the 31st, I believe, is when they'll start making them and shipping them out. But what we really want to do is we want to tell you, if you want a hardbound edition of Platinum Magic, go to your local bookstore and say, hey, can you order me a hardbound copy of Platinum Magic by Bruce Davis? That's really what, at the end of the day, we want to do. We want to drive business into our local bookstores. So we've kind of made the hardbound editions fairly exclusive to our local bookstores. So we here at Brick Cave, we're not actually going to carry a lot of them. We'll have them for contests and stuff like that. You won't see them at events. So we're not going to bring them out to, Tucson Festival of Books or LA Times Festival of Books or any of the other events that we do. And we're not really even going to list them on the website. So we're going to build a directory similar to what you see right today with our ebooks, where we have the directory and then it links right out to whatever ebook store is your favorite ebook store. We're going to do something similar with the hardbounds. We're going to list all the hardbounds that are available, and we're going to link out to different stores or, different places you can get them online, because we really want to encourage people to patron their local book establishment. So By default, we don't have any way to stop it, but you can get it through that big online web retailer. But we would encourage you to go to your local bookstore to get hardbound editions of Brick Cave books. There you go. So, the other thing that I really want to talk about today, so many new books coming. So, typically, we at Brick Cave, we focus on getting anywhere 4 to 6 titles a year. Really, it's 6 is the goal. And we have put out so far this year, 1, 2, 3, 4. We put out 5. We put out 5. So we put out 5 titles so far this year. And we've got like another 6 titles that are at that point where they're going to get launch dates and they might actually get out before the end of the year. So it's going to be this huge year. And really, this had nothing to do with the pandemic. It's had nothing to do with any of the world events going on. It's been simply kind of the way that these manuscripts are playing out for us. And so we're going to have 2020 will be remembered for a lot of things that people would rather forget. But for Brick Cave, it will be remembered as the year we put out a lot of books. So let me tell you about a few of those that we have coming out. Probably of the titles that are on the list, there's a couple that are sort of signature books that we know people are waiting to see. One of them is Scott Wood's, who's going to release another collection of essays called Conversations You Wish We'd Had, which, if you know Scott, if you follow Scott, you basically are camped out waiting for this book to happen because it's just a fantastic collection. And honestly, I'm not going to lie to you. You can go out and you can find probably a lot of this content, but he's brought it together. He's compiling it into a book that you can own, and it's going to be just amazing. It's going to be an amazing collection. So I don't want to go into too much detail on it, but I have seen the table of contents. You're going to be impressed. I'm just going to tell you. It's going to rock your socks off. The other book that I think is pretty hotly anticipated this year is going to be Sharon's next book, Sharon Skinner. Return to Honoria. This is the second book of the Nellig Stones series. So in case you weren't aware, the Nellig Stones was, I think, the third book by Sharon that we published, because we'd done her collection of poetry, and then we had done Healers, and then we put out the Nellig Stones. And the idea was that there would always be another Nellig Stones book, but what ended up happening was Healers took off, and so then their second Healers book kind of took priority, and then Sharon started working on Collars and Curses, and then she started working with Joe on some manuscripts. She started working with me on some manuscripts. So the Nellig Stones has always been in the background, and it's one of the most popular books that we offer when we go out on tour because it's great. It's a fantastic fantasy story geared towards that, 5th, 6th, 7th grader that's kind of looking for that entry into fantasy. For me, that was The Black Cauldron. That was the first fantasy book I ever read. But for a lot of kids, it's been the Nellig Stones. So we're finally at that point where Return to Honoria is like 90, I'm going to say about 90% there. We just approved some final artwork this last week. So it looks like we're at the point where we just need to get that artwork integrated into the manuscript, get a proof, go through the proof. So you're going to see a date on that. It's kind of like who's going to get there done first, Scott or Sharon. And I'm not taking any bets because I don't know. They're both working hard. But those are just 2. We've got a bunch more. I don't know if you got to see the webcast that we did a week ago with Adam Marsh and Marcus Campbell. Those are the 2 new authors that we added this summer, and they each have a manuscript that is due to us in September. Adams is a post-apocalyptic fantasy sci-fi called Mariner's Wake. Going to be a tremendous book. we're excited. I'm excited because it's a kind of a different twist. I don't think we've done anything post-apocalyptic at this point. As a matter of fact, I know we haven't. I'm just saying that because it sounded cool. But we haven't done anything post-apocalyptic yet. So I'm excited to see what people think of that. I think in what I've read, it's a bit of a middle ground between Bruce and Sharon. So if you like Bruce Davis and you love Sharon, you're going to put Adam right kind of in the middle there, I think. You read it and you let me know. Anyway, so that's coming out. And then Marcus Campbell. A lot of people know Marcus already because he was an intern here at Brick Cave for a long time. Did a lot of great work for us. And then his internship ended. And at one point, we were just like, hey, you write poetry. You've written great poetry. We've read your poetry. Why not do this? And he was like, well, of course I'm going to do this. So he's been working on, it might just be the puzzle book of the lifetime. And when you get this book, you're going to see exactly what I mean. I don't want to necessarily spoil it for anybody, but there's a lot going on with this book. And we've actually, our graphic designer has been spending a significant amount of time Peetin the Pieces together to bring this book to life. And I think you're going to love it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's called My Identity as a Stereotypical Side Character. Yeah, it's everything you imagine when you see that. So anyway, so that's coming as well. So it's going to be a very, very busy last 4 or 5 months of the year. Super excited about it. I don't want to say super excited anymore because I think I did that 2 episodes ago. And so I ended up saying it like 20 times. So I'm not going to say super excited. I'm not. Anyway, we always want to hear from you. So if you've read one of our books, and I know you guys are reading them because you're buying them. If you've read it and you want to talk about it, you can do so a couple of different ways. You are always welcome to email into the podcast at brickcavemedia.com. Podcast at brickcavemedia.com. You can tell us there. You can go on to the BC Book Club forums. You join up as a Ruby Dragon member and start posting what you think about everybody's book. I know the authors are checking because I've told them to check. So I know that they're popping in there. And I think Adam started a conversation the other day with somebody. So you might want to jump in there, see what's going on. But that's 2 ways you can kind of share your thoughts on the books that we're publishing, the stories that we're telling, and so on. Let's talk about events. There's not a lot to talk about. So I don't know if you had a chance to listen to any of the other podcasts. Bill and Patrick just did one last week that I've got to go through and edit and get launched. I'll probably do that actually tonight. So you probably won't be listening to this for another week from the time that I'm recording it, which is the 13th of August. But Bruce and Sharon have a new episode out. They're going to record a new episode next week, which is exciting. A lot of fun, man. It's so much fun doing these podcasts with these guys because it's everything I had hoped for when I was like, hey, you guys want to do some podcasts? I think that would be pretty cool. Oh, okay. Anyway, so they're having a good time with it, and that's the important thing. So you can catch them all online. I don't know if you've caught any of the webcasts. I know I mentioned earlier that Adam Marsh did a webcast with Marcus Campbell, and you can catch those. You can catch that one online. You can hit our YouTube channel up. Love to have some follows, some subscribers on the YouTube channel. I think we're at 50 right now. We need to double that, I think, so that we can actually give our channel its own unique name. I think they said you have to have like 100 subscribers to do that. So if you get a chance, please pop over to YouTube, look up Brick Cave Media. It's easy to find, and then just give it a subscribe because I'll put it in the description of this podcast as well. You can find it. So I'm like, oh, what other content, what other programming are we going to make for the rest of the year? So I'm trying to think of, do we want to do a big book launch webinar? What? And somebody said to me, Bob, why don't you do a webinar about like running Brick Cave? And I'm like, why would anybody want to hear me? Like, That's silly. That's why I'm trying to get other people to do the podcast. Nobody wants to hear from me. But all right, so I will be scheduling a webinar that is just me talking about what Brick Cave does and how we do what we do and that kind of thing. So if you're interested, you can go to brickcavemedia.com. I haven't actually put it on the calendar yet, so by the time you listen to this, it will be on the calendar, and you can go in and say you want to go, and you'll be able to go. What else do I know? Oh, we did get the official word at this point that LA Times Festival of Books, and if you follow the festival circuit at all, you know that they were originally in April. They'd moved to October, and they were hoping. And last week, they finally decided, we just better go online this year. So they've decided they are going to do some sort of an event, but it's going to be online. So latimes.com/ I don't remember what the website is. If you just do LA Times Festival of Books, you can find the website for it. But there's going to be a bunch of online content. I don't have a lot of details yet because they just sent us the email that said they were going online. So we will be participating in some capacity. We just don't know what that capacity is yet. So stay tuned either through the book club or subscribe to our email list or follow us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. Find us somewhere out there and just follow or subscribe and you'll get updates. So that's what's going on there. I'm just so you know, in kind of peripheral, not really Brick Cave related items, because for those of you that are new to the podcast, in addition to running Brick Cave Media, I also run a business called Proxima Emporium, which is kind of like a pseudo marketing agency for literary arts. And just to kind of give you guys an idea, I know I had hinted that we were looking at organizing some sort of an online festival event. And it looks like we're going to do that through the findanewbook.com website. So you're going to see some opportunities if you are an independent publisher, if you are a self-published author. There's going to be some opportunities there for you to participate in an online sort of book festival format. And we kind of figured that findanewbook.com, because that's the whole point of that site, is to promote indie authors and small presses, was going to be the best way to brand an event like that. So look for that. Finalizing some details on it, on how you can participate, but I think we're going to launch that here pretty quick. So that's going to be so much fun. It is actually going to be a lot of fun because we're going to do a lot of interesting. We're trying to look at what everybody's doing in their online event space and then do something completely different, just because that's how we roll. Anyway, let's talk about the top 5 Brick Cave books. So I want to say thank you guys. I don't want to talk a lot about the pandemic because it seems like everybody's talking about the pandemic. But since this happened in March, this could have been very doom and gloom for us here at Brick Cave. We lost all the events that we do. Our events were about 70% of our total sales every year. So it had the potential to be absolutely disastrous. As a matter of fact, I'm not going to say I was at any point ever considering closing Brick Cave, because I was not. Those were, that was when you're looking down the road, you're like, oh my God, what's going to happen? I want to say thank you to everybody, because everybody stepped up and, they started buying books online. They started finding us in other places. Our own website, which has our own store, has had the best year that we've had since we started selling online. So I want to say thank you for that, because that kind of support is what has carried us through. And we're actually on track right now to have a better year than last year. Last year was not a fantastic year. It was not a record year or anything like that. It was kind of a struggle year. And this year, when we started getting into the pandemic, we were like, oh boy, we'll be lucky if we even come close to what we did last year. But it looks like we're going to beat last year, which is fantastic. So thank you guys. Really appreciate your support. I know the authors really appreciate your support. So I thought I might share with you what the top 5 titles have been for this year to date. So this is January through August. And in 5th place so far this year If Porch Lights Have Moths by Bill Campana, a collection of poetry. You're going to see a theme, and I'm going to talk about this theme as we go through this top 5. But this book released this year has had a fantastic year, which is great because I'm a big Bill fan. I've known him for 20-something years. But it's exciting to see that this book has gotten some traction. It's gotten some interest. People are enjoying it. It's really a strong collection. Not that any of Bill's collections aren't strong, but this one is a good, strong collection. He's also on the list for this year, by the way. He's coming out with a new book. That book title is Poems in the Key of A Negative. His blood type, just so you know. So if he ever needs blood, I'll let you know. You all know what his blood type is now. And you can just message me and say, I'm a donor. And you can all save Bill's life someday. I know. Number 4, The Experiment, known as Rosemary Hernandez Williamson. Another new book for this year. This one came out, actually, this is our kickoff book for this year. Sci-Fi book, Louise Robertson. Really a good book. Really excited to get it out. We were excited to have Louise do some work with Sharon. She did a great signing event, which you can watch on the YouTube channel. And she's always active online. So she does, and I don't know if you guys are interested in writing prompts, but she does a great writing prompt Saturday morning sort of event online where basically she just kind of, it's I don't even know how to describe it, except it just kind of, she gives you these prompts and gives you the opportunity to kind of jot down what you're thinking as these prompts come on. It's really good. Check her out. Facebook. Number 3. We Over Here Now by Scott Woods. So, Scott is having a fantastic year overall. And this book is, part of the reason why this was the first book that we published by Scott. I'm trying to make sure that's correct. Yes, it was correct. And it just resonates. It's just such a powerful poetry collection. You can't help but not read it straight through. Like, you start it and you're like, oh, that's cool. And you just get to the next poem and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool too. Oh my God, that's cool too. And next thing you know, you run out of pages. You're at the end. You're like, wait, where's the rest? You're like, what else? And so he has had a very successful, just career writing. But this book is the book that kind of helped to elevate him out to a new audience. And this book this year has just gravitated to a lot of people. So 5-star reviews all around for that bad boy. Book number 2. And actually this one, I was a little bit surprised when I saw this, but I was very excited to see it as well. Corporate Boilerplate Vinegar by Patrick Hare. So if you like sarcasm, if you like snarky social commentary, if that just makes you happy, then Patrick Hare's book will be the book that you read before you go to bed for the rest of your natural life. He just observes the world around him and just puts it on the page in a way that I've never seen anybody else ever put it on the page. And it's, I got to see him, most of the poems in this book I've probably seen or heard live at some point over the last 22 years, 23 years. And this is a great collection of that energy that he brings when he performs. It's just so much fun. And if you get a chance, you can actually listen to some of the poems. He's been reading them as part of the podcast he does with Bill. So that's always fun to kind of see them interact. They've just, that podcast just gets stronger and stronger as they get more and more comfortable. So Corporate Boilerplate Vinegar, Patrick Hare, the number 2 Brit K book for 2020 so far. Number 1. This should come as a surprise to no one whatsoever. But this is Prince and, hang on, and Weird Little Black Boy Gods. I don't have a copy in front of me, and I'm trying to think if there were other is in the title, but it's not. So Prince and Weird Little Black Boy Gods. Scott Woods, just an amazing collection of writing. This is where... you have gotten the chance to get to Scott's poetry through the 2 books that he's released, including Urban Contemporary History Month and We Over Here Now. But this is where you get to dive deeper into his writing style and his writing voice through his prose. And I can't describe the experience that reading through these essays gives you. If you're a Prince fan, it's fantastic, right? He spent his life, he's studied Prince. He's been a fan of Prince. He's been a critic of Prince at times. But all of this knowledge and all of this connection comes through in these pieces through his writing. And it's the writing that really is what makes this strong. A lot of people find it because it's about Prince, but everybody loves it because of the way the writer writes it. That's how I'll describe it. So, and that, my friends, is why it is the best-selling Brick Cave book this year so far. Honorable mentions, we've actually had a strong summer, really good summer this summer, and a lot of fantasy titles are moving. So Bruce Davis is having a tremendous summer. So both his Platinum Magic and Gold Magic is the book that came out in March from us, have had a good, solid summer. People are picking them up. They're reviewing them. They're getting 5-star reviews. Sharon is, steady Eddie, right? So, she's got Healer's Legacy that just always is getting people's attention, and it's always gravitating readers. No difference this year. I think she'll just crush it the rest of the year. And I think once Nellig Stones comes out, that's going to draw a whole new level of attention to her back catalog. What else do I know? I don't know. I could talk all day. I'm 32 minutes into this podcast. I could talk all day. What else do you want to know? Send me an email, podcast@brickcavemedia.com. Happy to answer questions. Otherwise, I don't really have a lot to talk about like tomorrow because I won't get this edited. You'll miss anything that's happening tomorrow. Buy a book. Buy a Brick Cave book. brickcavemedia.com. Go in there. Great store. We're doing a sale, so everything's on sale. So everything's priced out as we would price it if you saw us at a book festival. So not only are we reducing the price, but we're also giving discounts if you get multiple books. So if you get 2 books, you get, I think it's 10%. I don't know, put them in the cart. It'll tell you. 3 books get you a bigger discount. 4 books get you a bigger discount. 5 books get you a bigger discount. So you get bigger discount as you add books. And right now, you could get 5 poetry books if you're a poetry fan. Definitely one from Scott, one from Sharon, one from Bill, one from Patrick, and Louise. There's 5 right there. And I'll tell you what. Here's the deal. I'm going right at it. If you buy, and I'm going to know because I'm the guy that processes the shopping cart, okay? If you buy 5 poetry books because you heard it on this podcast, between now and the end of August, I'm just trying to think about, there'll be plenty of time, then I will add another poetry book to that order for you. So if you go on the brickcavemedia.com site, you order 5 poetry books, doesn't matter which 5, I'll add one of the ones that you didn't order. That'll be random. You're going to get whatever one I think you deserve. And you'll get 6 books for the price of 5. You're already getting a discount on the 5, so you're just getting all kinds of stuff. So that's my podcast-only deal right now. So if you hear it on the podcast, go to the site, order 5 poetry books. They got to be poetry books. I'll throw in a 6th book of my choice that I think you should read. And then let me know what you think. So you can email me because I'll be emailing you to let you know your books are on the way. So that's what I know. All right, kids. That's it. I'm out. I'm done. I'll probably have Jen come back with me next month. I didn't actually. I wanted to invite her this month, but it got to be too late, and I didn't want to bug her to invite her in. But I'll probably invite her in for next month, and we'll talk about some stuff. Next week, Sharon and Bruce are going to record their next podcast episode. I got Bill and Patrick's new podcast episode coming out anytime as soon as I get home and edit it. Otherwise, please continue to support us, continue to support other independent authors, continue to support your local bookstores. Thank you so much for all the support that you have given us so far this year. It has not gone unnoticed. Join us on the BC Book Club. My name is Bob Nelson. This is the Brick Cave Podcast. Have yourself a great rest of whatever day it is that you're listening to this. Bye.